All right, everybody. This is Andy Swan, Landon Swan, the founders of LikeFolio, and we are coming to you. Tesla is getting up near all-time highs again. One of our long-term favorite stocks, the definition of a mega trend stock is Tesla. And Landon, you remember what happened when we first put this out in 2018?
Yeah, everybody thought we were idiots. I mean, and yeah, I love this cartoon that we made here. This is amazing. Line around the block, and Wall Street says they, don't think they're going to make it. That's great.
Yeah, it's classic Tesla Q behavior. Everybody hating on the stock because of valuation. And LikeFolio data showed us the vision that Elon had was attainable, which is why we got into the stock on April 24th, 2018 at under $19 a share, split adjusted. It is now up 2,300% since then. And we've doubled down again a couple years ago, still holding there and now near all-time highs. One of our greatest trades ever, Landon. It really goes to the core of what mega trends, is all about, what LikeFolio is all about.
Yeah, I mean that the double down has doubled since then. But really what it was is if you think back to the Tesla Q days, it was always one thing after another about things that wouldn't happen, right? It was production, it was you can't have a self-driving car, all these different things. But the entire time, the consumer demand scores that we were seeing were just through the roof. People wanted these cars so badly. As soon as any availability came out, they were gobbling them up, wait lists, whatever. The demand was just so strong behind it that they were going to win. It was just very obvious they were going to win. So that's the power of the consumer data that we've got. Anytime we see that kind of demand, it's a great sign for a company, obviously, as it was with Tesla.
Yeah, here's what happened. Like you said, there's a lot of things people said couldn't be done. They said that the Supercharger network could never be built out to support all of these EVs cross country. Well, now Tesla controls 80% of North America's fast charging energy, superchargers delivering power 30% lower cost per kilowatt hour, all while maintaining the largest average site of 12 stalls. And it's an incredible experience when you go to a supercharger. What takes hours and hours in your garage, which is fine overnight, every night you can charge your car. But when you're on the road, going to a supercharger and spending 20 minutes to get your tank all the way filled up is a pretty cool experience. And it's also really cheap. But I think, Landon, the biggest thing here is Tesla won the supercharger network wars because the other manufacturers are now at the point where they're integrating Tesla capable or compatible chargers.
Talk about leverage. It's unbelievable the amount of win that is. They just like, you know what, white flag, they got the better network. We don't need to build that. Yeah, that's huge. And what's funny is I doubt that Tesla and Elon Musk will twist that knife and gouge them. He just wants to bring EVs to the world. And okay, that's fine. You can use our network. You'll pay a little bit more, but he's not just going to choke point them. It's not that kind of cutthroat business. And I think that's probably why a lot of them are just going over. So it's a really interesting phenomenon. He approaches business in a different way than a lot of the greedy fat cats on Wall Street, I think the caricatures would have you believe.
Yeah, and it goes to a point we're going to make later of why Tesla's margins on selling the cars can be so much lower than everybody else's, because they have the opportunity to make money on every kilowatt that goes through those supercharging stations, whether they are Tesla cars or not. But this chart blew me away. I don't think many people understand that Tesla is now at the point where it is selling in the third quarter 2025. Tesla delivered more cars than Mercedes-Benz.
And this chart is just there's going to be manufacturer after manufacturer who gets their line crossed by Tesla, Mercedes being one of the earlier ones. But that's a big name. I mean, this isn't just a small name. And this is incredible because the narrative for so long was they can't deliver, they can't manufacture at scale, all this. That's in the rearview mirror now. Now they're making more and delivering more than Mercedes. That's wild.
Scale was a big concern when we first got in 2018. It's been a talking, even in 2022, people were saying they could never do it. And now they got to the point where the Model Y was at one point the best-selling car in the world. Part of the reason that they're able to move these cars so well is because they beat everybody to the punch on lowering the profit margin per unit that they're selling these cars at. They're at 15%. You can see Porsche, both companies started 2022 about the same spot, 30%. Tesla just decided, you know what? We're taking our margins down because we want to dominate the marketplace. They took their margins down, now at 15%. Porsche's at 13%. Tesla's beating everybody to the punch, Landon, because, like we talked about before, they don't have to make all their money at the dealership. They can make their money over time via ownership of the vehicle.
Right. And I mean, it's, this business model has never been at play in the automotive industry, right? I mean, this is like telecom carriers where you get a free iPhone as long as you sign up for 3 years, right? That they're taking the loss initially and then they're going to make their money on the back end, or a printer that is an unbelievable piece of technology that costs $200, but you got to buy $80 worth of ink every quarter, right? I mean, this model has never infiltrated the automotive industry. So I think it's really shocking a lot of the competition, and they don't have there's no subscription or back end revenue for a Porsche or for a Mercedes, or they shouldn't be. If they are, it's gouging, and it feels gouging to the consumer. Whereas there is for Tesla, they can make value add subscription services or continued revenue, and it feels like a value add to the customer. And I think it's really just turning everything upside down. And they're so far ahead, it's just completely taking them off guard.
Yeah, your analogy to the iPhone is spot on, because the iPhone monetizes the user by creating more value on the product that you already own. And as a Tesla owner, that's what it feels like with Tesla as well. And the other similarity is Apple tightly controls that product from top to bottom. Tesla tightly controls the manufacture of its product top to bottom. It is not aggregating pieces and parts from every different supplier on earth and dumping them into one machine that ends up working like most other auto manufacturers. So most other auto manufacturers, if they wanted to send an over-the-air update, they could do it, but it could not impact the rest of the ecosystem of the vehicle because
Right.
those parts were made by someone else and aren't compatible with the software update. Tesla sends you a software update, they send you something to subscribe to, and boom, your car gets better. But beyond that, the big ability for Tesla to monetize its entire fleet lies in full self-driving. So we want to get into that. That's the future of the company. That's the make or break. Tesla's always a binary bet, always. And it's still a binary bet today, because if Robotaxi, self-driving, and Optimus, which we won't even talk about today, take off, then this can go another 10x from here. If they don't, then it's overvalued. But look at this, Landon. Autopilot or full self-driving vehicles, look how much safer they are than people driving themselves.
So that's the chart of how many miles in millions that can be driven without an accident or before an accident. And the dark blue line is with autopilot technology. So it's just dwarfs it. What is it? 8-9x is safe. So there's 8 or 9 times fewer accidents with autopilot on, and it's incredible. I mean, I've been in it once, but Andy, you have a Tesla, you've been on autopilot. I'd love to hear, your take on where it's at now versus where it was. Where do you think it's going? Tell us, as a Tesla owner who uses autopilot.
Yeah, I just did a update on X, at Andy Swan on X. I just did an update on this exact thing because I just downloaded Full Self-Driving 14. It updated in my garage overnight. My car got leaps and bounds better. Here was a highlight of the video that I put on X showing the self-driving and my reaction to my very first ride. under full self-driving 14.
That it's able to drive, but it's doing so comfortably and avoiding the little things on the road, the little interactions on the road that made your knuckles a little white before. The fact that I really don't think that there's a single thing on this entire drive, which has been 11 minutes so far, got about 4 more minutes to go. I don't think there's been a single thing that this car did that I would not have done.
I could not have said that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have put a child into that car unattended and had confidence, full confidence that the Tesla would get to its destination safely. It was like a 16-year-old was driving the car, and it needed a little supervision, if you know what I mean. But earlier this week, when I downloaded FSD 14 and got it into that on the first time, and it took me to work over some of the crazy, you've been here, Landon, some of the craziest intersections, railroad tracks, 6-way stops, weird stuff, completely flawlessly, and more importantly, very comfortably, because it would have like just kind of inch over for a pothole. It would smoothly go around when somebody was about to pull out into the street from a side road, stuff like that. Incredible technology. And it convinced me that Elon Musk and Tesla will achieve autonomy and autonomous driving across the entire fleet, probably faster than most people recognize.
Yeah, and it's a game changer. I think there's a real chance that my 9-year-old daughter never drives a car. Very, very possible.
Totally agree. And the world is hungry for it. You can see it here. The 10 most app download days, the highest ride hailing app download days, bunch of New Year's Eves on there. And then there's number 10 is Tesla on a random Thursday in September releasing their Robotaxi app. And it registered through the roof, much bigger than Lyft's best ever activation day, 10 times better than Waymo's best ever activation day. There is a hunger for the Robotaxi. And as soon as Tesla gets to the point where they can flip that switch and turn this entire fleet into full self-driving, autonomous ride-hailing service, it's going to be an incredible bonanza for this company.
It's going to change the world, like possibly overnight. I mean, it's going to be wild. And I really can't wait to see what Uber and Lyft stocks do during that time. That it's going to be something special.
Yeah, I agree. And look, near term, I think that there was a nice, really nice bump in demand for Teslas right as that EV credit ended at the end of the third quarter. So now we've got a little bit of a natural pullback. There was some pull forward volume in there. I don't think it's nearly as impactful as it was for the GM type of EVs, et cetera. I think that we got a little dip here in terms of web visits, which is correlated very nicely with Tesla demand and revenues. And then we'll be right back up to the races as we get into the new year, because once again, I just think Tesla cars are better and people want them, and they don't think of them as EVs. They just think of them as really nice cars that continue to get better and better while they sit in people's garages.
Right. Tesla redefined what EV was. Before, electric vehicle was like, I want to save the planet, go environmental, and okay, I'll sacrifice performance and looks and safety, but I feel good about myself, environmental stuff, right? Now it's like, well, no, it's just the best car. I don't care what runs it. It's just the best car. And so that it just completely changes the motivation requirements of the consumer. Now, of course, everybody wants the best car.
Yeah. So to summarize, we're right back where we started. It's 2018 all over again. Wall Street's, the stock is at or near all-time highs. Tesla Q and some of the haters out there saying Tesla will never make it. It's overvalued. They'll never have full self-driving. The Optimus robots will never work, etc. But consumer data from LikeFolio tells us very clearly people are lining up around the block for these technologies and will continue to do so at a greater and greater rate. And we have the opportunity to own a part of the output of one of the greatest entrepreneurs, if not the greatest entrepreneur of all time. So we stay bullish on Tesla. We have a target price that is fairly infinite. I would say 5 to 10x in the next 5 to 10 years is extremely doable. We like it. We like the stock just like we liked it at $19 in April of 2018. And
Yep.
we're going to
And-
continue to like it until the consumer data tells us not to.
Right. We're going to talk about it today, but we didn't even talk about Optimus and all the things that you could say haters about Tesla. We won't be able to do this, won't be able to do that. They're saying the same thing about Optimus. I promise you, fast forward 5-10 years from now, you're going to look back in the same stories and be like, well, he accomplished this, he accomplished that, he accomplished this. Everybody's got one of these in their house, and there's 15 in every restaurant. There's a lot of upside to Tesla, a lot of upside.
There's a lot of upside to a lot of investments that are out there in the marketplace right now. Companies that are changing the world with massive consumer tailwinds behind them. Some of these companies are very small, like Tesla was in 2018. And we love finding those. That's what Megatrends is all about. That's what LikeFolio is all about. So with that, thanks Landon for joining me. Appreciate all of you watching, and we'll see you next time